We mentioned Gyokeres there. What is the latest with him? Is he going to be the transfer saga that's one of those that goes on and on and on throughout the summer, or do you think something concrete will get done soon?
Yeah, I think a lot of clubs are obviously interested. Obviously, Arsenal have been strongly linked with him. Manchester United strongly linked with him. He's worked with Ruben Amorim before. The question that's been asked in Portugal recently and publicly by the sporting president is what price he'll go for. There was that talk of a gentleman's agreement, but it seems that Sporting want to extract maximum value, and that makes sense because he's the guy that's fired them to a couple of titles in the last 2 seasons. They also won the Cup this season as well in Portugal. So if they're going to lose him, they want to make sure they get the maximum amount of money for him. So I think there'll be a bit of toing and froing. And it'll be interesting to see what other deals happen or don't happen, because Arsenal have been really strongly linked with Benjamin Sesko. If they don't go down that route, maybe Gyokeres is the one that they'll turn to.
Kev, but can you understand from Gyokeres' point of view, if he had the conversation at the beginning of last season where they said, you give us a season and we'll lessen the price that you can go for, you can understand him being a little bit peeved about it.
Yeah, of course. If there's an agreement there, and actually you look at, mentioned Sesko. Sesko's in exactly the same position with Leipzig, because Leipzig effectively said to him, we want you to stay for another year, because he could have gone last summer. He was very strongly linked with the Premier League last summer, but he stayed on. In the end, it didn't help them because they had a bad Champions League campaign and they didn't qualify for Europe, but that wasn't his fault. He scored goals, he played well. So yeah, Leipzig have stuck to their words. They're expected to let him go for a more reasonable fee than maybe they could otherwise expect. So it'll be interesting to see if that ends up being the same for Gyokeres, because there does seem to be a bit of angst there at the moment.
If there was the same price, say like Gyokeres is going to be, 69 million or whatever, and Sesko was the same, who would you think would be the better value of money?
Personally, I would pick Sesko because I think maybe he's got a higher ceiling than Gyokeres. I like both of them. I mean, it's a nice problem to have. I do think there's a bit of magic with Sesko. I think the fact that, he scores all types of goals. He scores incredible goals. He's great in the air. He's tall. He's quick. I think his strength will improve. And there's a little bit of magic about him. That's not to say Gyokeres isn't great. I think he is. I think he's been fantastic, carries the ball really, really well. I would just go for Sesko personally. But again, I'm maybe slightly influenced by the fact that I've watched Sesko so much covering the Bundesliga in the last couple of years.
Do you know what, Kev? I would go for Gyokeres. The fact being that he's 5 years down the line more developed.
Yeah.
Like, he's 27. Yeah. I think Arsenal, development-wise is great, but I think they need a player. The perfect age is about 27 when you're physically developed. He's learnt his trade. He scored goals in the Championship. He scored goals. I just think we need a instant impact, and I think you've got more of a chance of that with Gyokeres.
You want someone that's ready to go in.
Exactly.
There's no developing. We need the finished article.
Yeah.
That is the difference. That is what you're getting. You're getting a proven track record, somebody who's played in England already, somebody that you imagine will produce a certain level of performance. Sesko, there are going to be more fluctuations. He's not certain, but I think he's probably got a higher ceiling in the long run. But we'll see.
Okay, now Bournemouth have completed a deal to sign the left-back from Rennes, Adrian Truffert, which is set, looks like Milos Kerkez. That's made the green light for him to go to Liverpool. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've been looking for a left-back to replace Gyokeres. It's been clear for some time he's heading to Liverpool. And Truffert, I think, is a good pickup because he's only 23, but he's packed a lot in. Made his Champions League debut as a teenager, played for France at the age of 20, and he's somebody that has been a solid Ligue 1 player for quite some time. So, Rennes didn't have a great season, the season just gone, but he was a regular for them, and I think he's ready to make that next step.
What about Brighton? Kev, looking at Diego Coppola, the Verona centre-back, what sort of player would he be?
Yeah, he's done really well. Verona not one of the greater lights in Serie A, but he's helped them massively in the season just gone. And when you look at his numbers, the pure defensive numbers really stand out in terms of the challenges, in terms of the aerial duels. And he's recently earned his first cap for Italy. It didn't go particularly well because they got stuffed against Norway. But taking on Haaland and company is maybe not the greatest way to start. But I think in the fullness of time, this will be another one where it'll turn out that Brighton were pretty sharp and they nipped in ahead of everyone else.
Just talk about my club, Chelsea. It's been a bit quiet the last couple of weeks since Delap.
They haven't signed 5 players in a week. It's gone quiet.
But there's time, Kev. You know that. I just wonder. Chelsea are looking. We saw what with Sancho going back to Manchester United. I don't know what's happening out in the wide areas, whether Chelsea are going to look to strengthen there. Some players coming in, maybe players going out on loan. What are the latest at Stamford Bridge?
Yeah, well, they seem to be really homing in on this left wing position. And they've been linked with, well, not just linked with, they have been in talks with Dortmund about Jamie Gittins. And that's a deal they clearly want to do. But Dortmund, as we know, don't sell easily, don't sell cheaply, and they've got a certain valuation in their minds. And the valuation they have is higher than what Chelsea have offered so far. But interestingly, it is lower than they thought they would get for him earlier in the season. There was a point where there was talk of 80, 90 million euro. Now, they've come down a lot, I think, from that because they've realised, A, he doesn't really fit the system that the current coach, Niko Kovac, employs, and B, he did fade a bit in the second half of the campaign. But he's only 20. He has enormous potential, and he has shown for Dortmund time and time again what he is capable of. So, again, if Dortmund are going to let him go, they're not going to let him go easily. So I have a feeling that this may get done in the fullness of time. But they're being linked with Malik Fofana as well at Lyon, who's very exciting. There's a real gem of a player there. I think he's had some performances this season for Lyon where the jaw has dropped. He's been outstanding. So he's another one they've been linked with. So, yeah, it's clear they want to make a signing in that position, and they're the two that seem to be uppermost in their thinking at the moment.
Kev, you just mentioned, obviously, left wing. As a left field transfer, Kyle Walker to Everton. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, well, I think it didn't quite work out for him at Milan. Milan, I think, were in a bit of a state of flux anyway. They underperformed in the league significantly. They ended up losing the cup final, which was a major, major blow to Bologna. And that would have rescued their season. But it was a hugely disappointing campaign. Fenerbahce have been credited with a big interest. Obviously, Jose Mourinho, from his time in England, knows him really, really well. But, Everton are ambitious. They've got the Friedkins in charge now, and they will want to make some big splashes in the market. So I'm not necessarily surprised that they're being linked with a player of that quality. But at Milan, it was a bit hit and miss.
Now, Man City have agreed 2.5 minutes on an 18-year-old from Rosberg, Norwegian side. I'm not going to pretend.
Go on, go for it.
No.
Go for it.
No.
Be brave.
No.
Go on. Go on, give it a go.
Okay, all right. Let me.
Go.
Hold on. Sver. No, what's his name, Kev?
Sverre Nippon.
Nippon.
We could have been here until Friday. Me and you would never have got that.
No, it looks like a 3-year-old's just gone a bit crazy on the keyboard.
He could be really exciting,
Tell us, yes. What's his name again, Kev?
So Sverre Nippon,
right.
And he's young Norwegian player. He made his debut at 15. He's somebody who was linked with Arsenal very strongly, actually, for quite a long time. And he's been a regular for Rosenborg in the Norwegian league. Yep. And he's been compared to Martin Ødegaard. He's a kind of box-to-box midfielder. Right. And somebody who has been seen as the rising star in Norwegian football for quite some time, this kind of next generation. They've got some exceptional players. Obviously, they've already got Haaland, they've already got Ødegaard, but he's part of that next generation. You look at Antonio Nusa, Oscar Bobb's another one that was going really well at City but got that injury. So, yeah, somebody who's very, very exciting. I'd be interested to see if they loan him out or whether they keep him in the building and develop him that way. But, yeah, very exciting talent.
Kev, you're exciting talent as well. Thank you very much for your company. Top man.
Cheers, chaps.
Cheers, Kev. Kevin Hatchard there.
The Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.